Okay, let's bring in our guest. He graduated from North Carolina with a degree in bracket-ology. He's one of the best college hoops experts in the business. He bleeds Carolina blue. I think his favorite song is One Shining Moment, too. That's yet to be confirmed. From the Titus and Tate podcast, Tate Frazier, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Olivia. It's great to be here. And that was a great intro. I love when I can bring North Carolina, up to the forefront. So that's a good day for me. I appreciate that.
To be fair, I think you've got the best colors in college basketball. But don't tell my husband. Don't tell anyone I said that. But Carolina blue's the best.
I'll take that. That's one thing we got right now.
Now, just to make sure you're a true North Carolina fan, have you ever gotten into some sort of gang warfare with Duke students when you were there? Like any type of Socha versus, the Greasers? Did that ever go down where you guys had a fight at a keg party?
I was a part of the managers game my senior year. Duke managers played Carolina managers, and in Chapel Hill they played. And Ryan Kelly, who played on obviously the Duke team, his brother Sean Kelly was a manager, and there was a fight that night, and I was at that game, one of the few people that was there. I was not a part of the fight. In fact, I was yelling to try to break up the fight. But, Duke is something that I hate. I say that I have, there are two types of people in this world. There are Carolina people and Duke people. That's kind of how I view the world. And, I respect Duke, but I also hate Duke. So.
Well, we have that in common. I too hate Duke. But actually, let's stick with that, with the violence you were just referring to, because there was a big story this week with Michigan, Wisconsin, Juwan Howard being suspended for the rest of the season, $40,000 fine, and his antics made a lot of headlines this week. Overall, what's your take on this?
Wow. This is a very loaded situation, obviously. Anytime a coach touches anybody in that way, it's obviously a big drama. So the first waiver reaction, you saw a lot of people say that, Juwan Howard's going to get fired. I thought that was a bridge too far, but I also, you cannot act in that way. But also there are rules to the game, and there's, quote unquote rules of engagement. And Greg Gard, when you touch somebody, the rules of engagement say, like, once you put your hands on somebody, all bets are off, especially if you've ever played basketball and been in one of those lines. Once someone touches somebody, things go awry. So I don't think it was a very one-sided thing. I think as soon as Greg Gard put his hands on Juwan Howard, now we have two guys that have implicated and instigated a situation, and they're supposed to be the leaders. And I think that's really what it comes back to. We need leadership. There is not a lot of leadership in college basketball. There's not a lot of leadership in college in general right now, in my opinion. So you need guys like Juwan Howard and Greg Gard. Luckily after the game, we've seen the press statements, and they've both kind of, made their, especially Juwan Howard, he's apologized and made sure that he seems remorseful and all that sort of stuff. But I would like to see Wisconsin also say something, just to, to be the bigger man in the situation, right? That's my only thing. I think that both sides could show leadership and class moving forward, because we know what the Big Ten is. That's what their mantra is. We are this classy conference. We are legends. We are leaders. Let's be legends and leaders in this situation and move forward in the right way. But he's got his punishment, and I think it was deserved. But I don't know if it was. I think maybe Greg Gard gets 1 game, 2 games. Because it wasn't just the Juwan Howard lost his mind situation. He tried to walk by. He did. I watched it live. I was texting my dad. I said, Juwan Howard is not a happy man right now. And, obviously from there was fireworks.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're just a few weeks away from the conference tournaments. You just mentioned the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Lots of teams on the bubble. Which conference are you most excited to watch?
I'm excited for, the Big Ten is always interesting. I hope Indiana gets into the tournament.
Yeah.
I'm a big Mike Woodson guy. I love Woody. I think he's one of the best people in basketball, so I want him to make the tournament. So I'll be pulling for him. I'm a North Carolina guy, as Olivia told everyone. So they're 20-8, but America has decided they're on the bubble. So I have to, have my guard up, so to speak, as we get to the ACC tournament. They need to win probably 2 games to secure their spot. So I'll be watching that. I'm a sucker for the Pac-12. I live in Los Angeles, so I still believe in UCLA. A lot of people have jumped off the bandwagon, but I am not. I know this is a tournament team, and I know they have their mindset on the tournament. So I'll be watching how they look. Are they in form as they get to the Pac-12 tournament? So that'll be interesting. And then Titus and I will be at the Big East tournament for Fox. So we'll be on the ground, boots on the ground, and I love St. John's for some reason this year in the Big East. I think in the tournament they're going to make some noise because they're going to be playing basically at home, obviously, in MSG.
Yeah, there was a lot of hype for the Bruins you mentioned earlier, preseason. Another team that always has a lot of hype, and I hope you take any bias out of this, is the storyline of Coach K and the Blue Devils.
The farewell tour.
It is, and it's kind of exhausting as a viewer, I think, every night to have to see this. But Duke's 23-4. They're 7th in the country. Do you think they're built for a Final Four run, or do you think they fall flat a little bit after this exhausting farewell tour?
Well, we all remember John Wooden in his last season wins the national championship. So Coach K is trying to repeat that and make sure that he leaves on top just like John Wooden did, because ultimately Coach K cares about Coach K being remembered as the best coach of all time, right? Yes. That's what he has used Duke as a vehicle for his entire career, right? So this is the final show. This is the curtain call, so to speak, spelled with K's, obviously. And I'm fascinated to see how it plays out. I don't see a world in which Duke's not in the Elite Eight, and then from there, we'll see how because you need a little bit of luck, obviously, to win a title. We all know that. Duke showed us that in 2015. So
I agree.
I think that they have a great shot to do it this year because of AJ Griffin, because of Wendell Moore. I think Banchero gets a lot of credit for this team, but they're Mark Williams, Wendell Moore, and AJ Griffin are really, kind of the motor. So I could see Duke winning it all. That's why I'm knocking on wood and, trying to be as good of a person as possible so that God does not let that happen.
No bias in that answer.
Do you think we'll see Coach K on a sideline again?
Olympics? I think we'll see him on the Duke sideline.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he's going to be – I wouldn't be shocked if Carolina beats Duke in his last home game, this year. I wouldn't be shocked if Coach K came back for one more year.
Wow.
I really would not be shocked because he has to leave on his own terms. So he has to win a title. He has to beat Carolina twice, maybe 3 times if they meet in the tournament. So he's got a lot of things he's got to check off. If this is the movie Bucket List, with Jack Nicholson, Coach K's got to check off a lot more things before he leaves the game, I think.
Speaking of teams that have traditionally had a lot of decent white players, Gonzaga is currently the favorite at plus 400 to win it all. Is this the team that finally brings a title to Gonzaga?
I think, I have always believed in Gonzaga. I think they could have won in 2013. I think they could have won in 2017, the year that Carolina beat them in the title game, obviously. I thought last year the pressure of being undefeated was really tough for them, especially with no fans in the crowd. Drew Timme is Christian Laettner light. You know what I mean? He really
Christian Laettner light.
He has to win a title. I feel like at Gonzaga, he feels like one of those guys that's almost destined. This is his last run. Chet Holmgren's probably going to be the number 1 pick. So if there was ever a year for Gonzaga, and they're kind of under the radar this year, which I like, even though they're number 1 in the country, people have kind of decided they don't believe in them anymore, which is a good spot to be when you get to March. So I could see Gonzaga cutting down the nets. That wouldn't shock me, and I'd be happy for Mark Few. He deserves it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's felt like this has been brewing for a minute. Last year, the Big Ten really struggled in the tournament after a lot of hype. Is there a conference that you're already thinking you'll probably stay away from in terms of filling out your bracket?
Honestly, the Big Ten really burned me last year because I believed in Illinois. Yeah, I don't know why I believe so much in Illinois. It's not like I have any reason to, but Trent Frazier, maybe because we have the same last name. I felt like and Chester Frazier is on the staff, so I don't know. The Big Ten always worries me because Purdue and Illinois have the best chance to win the title, I think, in that conference. And both of those teams are very volatile, and they can beat anybody, and they'll also lose to anybody, as we've seen a few times this season. So the Big Ten definitely worries me. And then the ACC is just so down this year that, Duke is really the only hope that they have as a conference. Wake Forest is back. Yep. Carolina's on the bubble. But Duke's really the only one that I could see making a Final Four in reality. So I would not bet on the ACC in the tournament if I were a betting man myself.
You hear that, Giannis? Are you taking notes?
Yeah, I'm taking notes right now. You just mentioned Purdue. They're plus 800. What about teams? What about other teams? Kentucky's plus 750. Auburn at plus 1,000. Any of these odds you like?
I like Kentucky. This feels like a Kentucky year to me. We're 10 years from the Anthony Davis run where he basically dominated by being a physical force, on the boards, defensively, offensively for that team. Didn't really need to score, and they have that with Oscar Big O, who's up for National Player of the Year. I think he perfectly fits that mold. They're an old team. Calipari really likes this group. Coach Cal is one of my favorite people. He's hilarious to me, and he really likes this team. And I think he thinks they can win it all. So that gives me even more reason to be emboldened. So if I had to bet on any of the Blue Bloods, I think I'd bet on Kentucky to win it all.
Okay, you've mentioned St. John's, and you've mentioned the Blue Bloods, obviously, but another mid-major that you think could cause some noise that we should be looking at. Again, Giannis and I are really trying to fill out our brackets as informed as possible. So this is just our cheat sheet guide with you on, Tate.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the questions. This is what happens around March. People start asking me about like last year. They were like, "What about Oral Roberts?" I'm like, "I like Asmus, and
What did you say this time last year about Oral Roberts?
Oh, I said I loved them. They were going to upset Ohio State, of course. No, I'm kidding. There's no way. Who's calling that? But I like San Diego State. They're on the bubble right now, but if they get in, I think they're an interesting team. I think they would be a tough out in a quote unquote bad matchup. So I would watch out for them. Colorado State's another bubble team that's right there that they started out really well. And if they sneak in, maybe they're a 12 seed or something, and you get a 12-5 game and you take them there. So those are two that kind of come to mind. I obviously am on the West Coast, so I'm watching, some of these, WCC and Mountain West games. The Mountain West is a great conference this year. They got a lot of good teams. And even like a BYU could be a scary team in the tournament. So there's some good teams on the West Coast. I mean, those are a little bit off the beaten path, but if they get in, watch out for Colorado State, San Diego State, BYU.
Last year was upset city, the most we'd ever seen in the tournament. First of all, why do you think so? And does that repeat itself this year?
I'm hoping that last year, we joked on our show it was a Mickey Mouse tournament, because everyone said that about the NBA bubble. We did the same thing on our show. Just because all the teams that we picked to win were losing, so we just said everything was Mickey Mouse. So I'm going to work under that same guise this year and say that no fans affected things. Playing Mackey Arena had some sort of weird magic. UCLA goes in there as an 11 seed, basically playing into the tournament, and then they go on a Final Four run. It was just something special that was going on in Mackey. Not for Purdue, though. Obviously, they lose to North Texas. They didn't have any sort of magic playing in Indiana. Neither did anyone in the Big Ten. So I think this year will be different. I don't think it'll be like last year. Last year was a one-off. It was more of a NBA bubble type environment. At least I hope so. Yeah. Because I want better teams to win. As much as we love the upsets, I want to see the better teams in the Elite Eight. Once we get there.
Yeah, usually it does end up being the better teams.
Weekend 2 always takes care of the situation usually. Except for Sister Jean.
Let's talk a little bit about the class of 23. Before Bronny James plays with his dad in the NBA, which seems like a pipe dream for me, he's going to have to play a year in college.
Yes.
Unless he goes overseas, does the whole ball route. What's your prediction about Bronny James? I know he slipped a little bit. His reputation went from, now he's like a 3-star recruit or something. He's 6'2". What's your prediction? Are we talking G League?
Yeah, I wish Bronny James was like a KJ Martin, who went to Sierra Canyon and, obviously ended up on the Rockets and is a very, he's a utility role player in the NBA. He can have some highlight moments. That's like what you hope Bronny would be, but it does seem like the LeBron media machine they're doing their job right. If you look at Bronny's list of schools, it's every blue blood. It's Kansas, Kentucky, Carolina, Duke, UCLA. Those are his 5 schools. None of those schools have offered him other than Kentucky. And I'm not sure if John Calipari did that just for, just to be like LeBron's kids might come to Kentucky, right? I don't think they're actively recruiting him right now. So he has 5 schools. None of them are actively recruiting him. If I had to pitch him, I would say go to North Carolina because then you have LeBron, Michael Jordan. You can, that's a mega package of just interest there. Or you go to Duke and do the opposite. So it's LeBron versus Michael Jordan, right? Officially. So one of those I could see happening. I think he's going to go to the G League, though. I really do. I don't think college makes sense. I don't think any team is going to, give him the one and done treatment where they give him 20 shots and give him 35 minutes a game. Because I don't think he can impact winning at that level. So no one's going to give him that runway. And the G League, the NBA, Adam Silver, I think they might be able to give him more of a runway and say, hey, this is the new wave. You don't go to college anymore. You go play with the G League Ignite, and they market it that way. And then he's one step closer to the NBA. And then LeBron can get him to Cleveland or whatever he wants to do because, like you said, he announced that that's going to happen, which is wild. That's the world we live in.
Don't you think he'd be the perfect example of look at, one of the most famous kids in the country in the basketball world and how they're coming straight to the G League? I mean, this is their dream. I bet Adam Silver and company is salivating over this opportunity. But any school, you're right, would be lucky to get him for marketing, if anything else, for 1 year, whatever they want to do with him on the court. It'd be a big deal to get Bronny James. But totally on a tangent here, just what we're seeing with LeBron James and the Lakers at the trade deadline, and them basically saying for the first time, someone saying to LeBron, you wanted this team, clean it up. We're not giving you what you want. We're not blowing up this whole thing. It's finish out the season. Like, this is the team you wanted. What's your take on what we're supposed to take away from that as the power of LeBron? Is it slipping maybe?
I mean, he's 37 years old.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where what is the long-term proposition here? Even him, angling to say, I will go to whatever team drafts Bronny. What kind of cachet does a 40-year-old or 39-year-old LeBron James really have at that point? I mean, maybe he has more than I suspect, but it does seem like a veiled threat, right? That really there's not much behind it. And in general, you're asking about the Lakers. The Lakers were a mess from day one. I mean, everybody that knew anybody knew that. I mean, there were no defined roles. LeBron was like, you're the number one guy. AD's like, no. And then Russell Westbrook, who can never and can't stay healthy. And Russell Westbrook, who's never been anything other than the guy, is now going to come in and he's going to be the third guy. What? That was never going to happen. So that team was a mess. They tried to figure it out before the trade deadline. I still believe Westbrook is a plus at the end of the day for the Lakers. It's good to have Russell Westbrook as opposed to a John Wall, which was the reported trade that was there. I don't understand how that would have helped at all. Russell was more impactful than John Wall. But, yeah, it's a mess. And LeBron's going to either leave the Lakers for a better championship situation, which I thought he might try to do this year with Cleveland, like trade him to Cleveland for Colin Sexton, maybe Garland, who's an all-star, and some picks. I thought that might be something that they look into. And that might be what happens in the offseason because somebody's going to get traded in the offseason, whether it's Westbrook, Anthony Davis, or LeBron. And it's going to be a decision. Or Rob Pelinka is going to get fired, and they're going to hire Sam Presti from the Thunder and, try to run this thing back and get him to help build a roster. But it's a mess. I mean, I'm not a Lakers fan, obviously. I live in L.A., but it's a mess. It really is.
LeBron trying to go to a good situation? That doesn't sound like him at all.
No, it's a new thing. It's a late in life thing, I think.
God, and it's really something we see in the NFL lately with quarterbacks. And I saw you even tweet about it. The Aaron Rodgers drama and stuff. It's going to give us so much fodder this offseason. It already is. What's your take
NFL,
on? Yeah.
No, I was going to, sorry to interrupt, but I was going to say NFL Live's already doing the Aaron Rodgers, he's on Pat McAfee this morning. What did he say to Pat McAfee? And then they show it. And it's like a mundane conversation between
about
two guys.
Cleanse. About a cleanse. He purged himself. Giannis, did you see this? Giannis would love this. He made himself throw up for a week.
Yeah, no, he's. I saw his gratitude post too. The only team he's on right now is mushrooms.
It said he was evacuating his body, which means he was vomiting and I don't know what was going on, but obviously he said that took him away from the Super Bowl and other things, and now he's just focusing on what's going on. But Rodgers, I think, is going to stay in Green Bay. Yeah. I would assume that's what it seems like it's trending towards, just the way he's behaving. He lost, his fiance. I feel like that's when you kind of hunker down where you are.
She didn't die, Tate.
Well, didn't lose her, but the reports say the relationship is over. I know nothing about this, but
Where's Pete Davidson? Someone find out where Pete Davidson is.
Oh man,
You're saying a lot there, Giannis.
Yeah, saying a lot. But Aaron Rodgers is going to stay, I think, and then Tom Brady is the one that I'm really watching out for. You have to wait 3 months after you retire before you're not beholden to your prior team, and they don't retain your rights. So I think we're about 2 months away from Tom Brady working out in the Bay, and a lot of rumors picking up that he's going to be Jimmy G's replacement. I think that's where we're headed, and that's going to be a lot of fun, I think, because Deebo Samuel is already good enough to take a team, but you had Tom Brady, a guy who admired Joe Montana. I think that would be really cool and really good for football. Because Tom Brady brings interest, obviously. It's very Jordan-esque of him to retire and then want to come back.
It just definitely seems like the appropriate thing. But in that tweet I mentioned that you just had is the Rodgers or Brady returning to their hometown, their home state. So you'd say at this point you'd put your money on Brady playing for the 49ers next season before Rodgers.
I think so. I think that they both are like it's a lot of gamesmanship happening between those two. They both have a lot of cleanses and different diets and brands and all types of stuff. I mean, they're just funny. You know what I mean? They're obviously competing at all times, and I think they both have a dream of playing for Joe Montana's team. I really do, and I know that a lot of people hear that and they're like, that's like some childish, made up fairy tale stuff, and it's like, well, so is sports. A lot of it is like that, and. If you love a team and you love Joe Montana like Brady does and you study Joe Montana like he did, I wouldn't be shocked if he plays there. I think that's the only team he would go back to, ever. I really do.
Yeah, and you're going to a good situation there, so that works.
Another title?
Another title, why not? Yeah. Go out. That competitive fire in him, he wants to go out.
He can't retire on that last game. Yeah. He can't.
He doesn't. He just can't do it. It's not in him.
Not.
Talking, let's go back to hoops for a second to the NBA. Chris Paul just went down, 6-8 weeks. They were on fire. He was playing incredible. Do you think they hold that lead in the Western Conference? How does that impact the Western Conference? And who do you think's taking it all this year in the old NBA?
Yeah, I think the Phoenix Suns are the best team in basketball. There's no doubt about it. I think it's honestly been a little disrespectful that they had no starters in the All-Star game. I love Ja Morant, but Devin Booker probably should have started in that game, or Chris Paul, you know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. I think they're going to make people remember in the playoffs. Phoenix is the best team in the West. The only team that scares me, if I'm Phoenix, is Denver. If Denver gets Jamal Murray back and gets Michael Porter Jr. back, that is a really tough matchup for anybody. And they would be a sleeper title team for me if they all get healthy. Just depends on the amount of games they can play with each other. But I like Phoenix out of the West. And then Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in basketball. He is trying to be the greatest player of all time. And I think it's pretty evident that that's what he's chasing. And I commend him for it because that is a lonely journey. It's not going to be a fun path, especially coming on the heels of LeBron. Mm-hmm. But he has the talent to do it. He's not even close to being fully formed as a basketball player. I mean, he's still developing. He's in the gym every single day. He went up to Michael Jordan and shook his hand, stared him right in the eyes, and was like, I will play you one-on-one right now. That says a lot to me. I think we're witnessing greatness, and we don't even know it yet with Giannis. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Bucks won back-to-back. I really wouldn't. And I think a lot of people are kind of writing them off, and that's not a good idea with number 34. He's unbelievable.
They've been so banged up, and their defense has been lacking. I feel like they really get it together. I agree with you. I think they're the biggest threat in the East. I know Giannis is excited, though, about the Nets and the Knicks. He's kind of just our overall New York guy. You can probably tell by the way he pronounces tournament.
Or coffee, or draw,
or Gonzaga. He mispronounces everything.
Gonzaga,
But overall in the East, though, when you're looking to at MVP, and you might have just answered it if you still think Giannis, but Jokic and Embiid in that conversation, they're the favorites. Those three at BetMGM right now. What would you put your money on?
I would put my money on Embiid. Giannis is one too. Oh. I think that everyone is. I think people are almost disrespecting how great Giannis is, and that's okay. But Joel Embiid deserves it. I love Joe. I think Joe is one of the best stories in the NBA this season. What he's been able to do without Ben, that takes a lot of faith in yourself. I mean, getting that team up to top 3 without Ben, that's insane. And I just want Joe to win because I don't know if Philadelphia is going to be able to win it this year. They got a lot of things that they have to piecemeal together. I think they need an offseason to really get that roster ready for a championship. But if Joe wins MVP, I think that's a win for Philadelphia. I'd be happy for him. And, I think that would be good for basketball. I love the bigs. So Jokic last year, Embiid this year, Giannis, obviously finals MVP. So a lot of good news for 7-footers.
I also think, Tate, that there is MVP fatigue. I think people like to see someone new win it, and Embiid hasn't won.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Yeah, I think Giannis. We've seen it before. Get us a new story.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that checks out.
Yeah. What about when is Ben Simmons going to play? Do you know? Do you have any insight? I mean, when is he still sad or whatever's going on? Did he step on a spider in Australia or New Zealand or wherever he's from? I mean, what's the deal? Why is he not suiting up already for the Nets?
Yeah, I think the genius behind that Brooklyn trade is that Patty Mills is there. Patty Mills is obviously an Aussie guy. I think he's going to try to mentor Ben, get him in a good headspace. He's known Ben since he was, I was talking to BJ Armstrong, who, went and saw Ben when he was like 16, and Patty was with him in the gym when he went and saw him work out for the first time. So Patty's been around Ben for a long time, so knows him really well. I think that's a sneaky part of this deal. Ben's apparently ramping up. That was the word that they put out. I don't know what that means, ramping up. Maybe you guys know, but I think he's in shape, so he should be able to get out there on the court, and he's going to have to get in game shape, which is going to take 25 games, really to get in real game shape. So he's got a ways to go. Brooklyn, I think that they're like the Sixers. It's too much too soon to really make a real run. But, with Kevin Durant, you always have a shot. I mean, that's the beauty of Kevin Durant. He's amazing.
Absolutely. Okay, we've gone so off the rails. I forgot we had a game ready for you, Tate. We have a little game. Yeah. Are you ready to play something with us?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
We've covered NFL, NBA, college basketball. I'd love to know what they pitched you we were going to talk about, because it's not at all what ended up happening.
I mean, honestly, this is what I do with my friends anyway. So this is
okay.
Perfect.
Good. We've just been wanting to pick your brain. Okay, this is our game. We like to do something fun with every guest. We all love the Final Four, but why stop at college basketball? It's time to break out the brackets of some other things in the Unleashed Random Final Four. That's our $1 million name. Tate, are you ready?
That's a great name. Yeah, I'm excited. Let's do it.
It's already branded, I think. Okay, pizza toppings. On one side of the bracket, pepperoni versus sausage. On the other side, mushrooms versus black olives.
Oh, wow.
Who's in the final?
Well, mushrooms are going to beat black olives. Pepperoni's going to beat sausage, but it's close. I mean, I love sausage, but I'm going to go with pepperoni. And then pepperoni, mushrooms, let's put them together on the same pizza.
Wonderful. No loser.
Yeah, everybody wins.
I mean, that was a good one. If you said black olives, I mean, I would have just closed my computer.
No, that would have been fair. I would have just sat here in silence as I deserved.
Giannis, you're Greek. I thought your people love olives.
Yeah, exactly, but they don't belong on a pizza. Okay. I mean, they do not belong on a pizza. So, I love olives, but they belong in a salad with feta. They don't belong with mozzarella and sauce.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, next one. On one side of the bracket, you got Drake versus Kanye.
Ooh. On
the other side of the bracket, you got J. Cole versus Future. Who's in the final?
Oh, man. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really tough. I'm a North Carolina guy, so I love J. Cole, but Future's probably my favorite artist. I'll say J. Cole just because I love J. Cole to death. And then on the other side, I mean, those two, they're kind of just like, I mean, obviously we all like both of them or like their music in some capacity, right? I'm going to take Kanye because he was my first love, like as a 10-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid, whatever it was, when 2003. So I was 10 years old. Yeah. So I'll take Kanye. And then J. Cole versus Kanye, false prophets on one side, the true prophet, J. Cole, on the other side. I'm going to take J. Cole.
Okay.
I love it.
This is a good one.
All American, too.
NCAA play-by-play announcers, and I got to warn you, one of them is not too far from me. Gus Johnson versus Jim Nance versus Kevin Harlan and Ian Eagle.
Oh, Kevin Harlan is obviously going to move on to the finals. Love Kevin Harlan. And then Gus Johnson is my guy. I love Jim Nance. Jim Nance, obviously, we all know. I mean, the tie, the Masters, the pageantry, we all love Jim. But I'm going to give it to Gus. And then Gus, I'm going to have to give it to Gus because I'm just a sucker for energy. And Kevin Harlan is like the perfect, like, I don't even think about him when he's giving commentary because it's just like so intertwined and blended with the game.
Yeah.
But Gus takes me out of like, you know what I mean? It just like, I feel like I get shot to space with the energy with Gus. So I think he's going to be my number one guy. Put him on any game.
Those are good choices. Good choices. Okay. One side of the bracket, you got Otto, the orange. We're talking about college mascots.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Versus Sparty from Michigan State.
Oh, wow.
And
then the other side. Sorry, was the other side?
The other side
this
is Brutus the Buckeye versus Ramses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ramses is moving to the finals, and then I'll take Sparty. I mean, Otto the Orange. I feel like it's interesting. I like Otto. He's a funny guy. Got a good personality, but I'll go with the Spartan. And just like in 2009, North Carolina, I'll take over Michigan State. So I'll be a homer there.
Yeah.
I'll take Ramses.
Yeah. And we see Sparty more. Sparty's just been around in March more.
Yeah.
I got one final question for this game that's not exactly part of this game, but I want to know, okay? If you had to choose to bring home a girl who's a reported member of the CCP and ISIS, or a girl who's a graduate of Duke, which one do you marry?
My mom wouldn't know what the CCP is, I don't think. So I think she'd be fine with that. But if I dated a girl whose mom went to Duke, and my mom did not approve. So it's anything that close it's not going to work.
You got to go to ISIS. You got to go with ISIS. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Now that's a perfect place to wrap. You can follow Tate Frazier on Twitter at Tate Frazier. And of course, don't forget to listen to Titus and Tate podcast to help you get ready for the tournament, as well as the World of Five Star podcast, which is a great listen as well. Tate, thanks for being here.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Let's go North Carolina.